we have a guest with us for this arc. So, Amir, do you want to introduce yourself? Anything to plug?
Sure, I can do the intro spiel. Hi, I'm Amr Emiraz. I'm excited to be a guest here today. Some of you might know me as a voice on the internet. You might not have heard my voice before, but if you have, you would likely have heard it on the Musafir's podcast, Voices at Play, for its short run, and the latest run of Playtest, which was a Pokemon podcast. All three of those places you can hear my voice. You can also find me talking about game design and random shit on my Twitter at Emiraz. So excited to be here.
We're really excited to have you. So, why don't we get into our character introductions? So if anybody wants to go first, we've got two returning characters who are switching playbooks, and Amr's new character.
I can go first. So, hi y'all, I'm T. I am playing Alana Sharif, who is the hero formerly known as Faye, but after she defeated her doom, she changed her name, superhero name, to Heathen. She is now 17 years old. She was 16 when this started. She's 5'6", Egyptian American. She used to wear her hair just kind of down, but now she has restyled it. We've got a new artist on this comic line, so she's been kind of redesigned. She wears her hair kind of messy in the front, and then she got two pretty tight buns on the tops of her head. The last time we saw her, she had just come back from 2 months in hell and was very emaciated. She's much heavier than she was in the initial run, though it is very apparent that is a self-care thing, that she has actively been working on taking care of herself and not pushing herself too hard, taking time for herself. So it is a healthy weight, not a depression weight. She's doing much, much better mentally than she was at the end of the last arc. Her color scheme has shifted from the white and pink to black and pink. She still wears a sleeveless hoodie, though this time it is a black hoodie with pink strings. She wears blue jeans instead of her white jeans that she used to wear. And she's got black combat boots with pink highlights rather than the white and pink sneakers she used to wear. We have changed playbook, as Elliot mentioned. So I'm now playing The Enduring, which is a playbook written by John of the Listen to These Nerds podcast. We'll have a full bio of him probably in the show notes, just to highlight the playbook change. They can be found at LTTNcast on Twitter. Her new arc is that in defeating her doom, she lost her powers, primarily lost her powers. The telekinesis, the telepathy, the shattering glass portal effect, all of that is gone. She still has some magical objects that she retained from her sanctuary. So she's got the ability to basically conjure up magical shields, very Doctor Strange. And she's got specialized weapon training. So she's got her flail, which we know is specially made to fight demons. And yeah, do you want to go through moves and stuff too, or do you want to just lock in there?
I mean, do you want to talk a bit more about the Enduring playbook itself, since it's not one of the core, or that it's more fan made, so not many people might know about it?
Absolutely. So the Enduring playbook, the arc of it is essentially you were a rising star of the hero world, but you lost your powers because of something. And now you have decided to still be a hero, even though you don't have the powers anymore. So a lot of the Enduring deals with using your mundane self to push yourself really far. I didn't take this move, but there's a move, for instance, that has a you can basically opt to take a powerful blow instead of someone else. You can be I'm going to take this move instead. And there's a lot of things along that nature. So it's very a hero without powers pushing themselves to be the person they used to be, and deciding whether or not that is the hero they were meant to be, or if they were meant to be a different type of hero.
Sweet. And I don't know if you want to go into the old life section at all, or do you want to wait until after we've done some brainstorming on this demon fighting organization?
There's really only 3 that make sense from my old life, based on the fact that we've played through a substantial amount of Alana arc already. Fearsome Reputation makes sense because the last time that the public saw Faye fighting, they saw a video of Faye as the demon, slicing a bunch of people in pieces and killing them. So Fearsome Reputation makes sense. Access to specialized equipment. I'm going to say that we kept some of the stuff from the Sanctuary, some of the books and stuff, which is where I'm getting some of the magical objects that I may be using. I'm going to kind of use that as a whole kind of situation to pull it out when I need it. And then Wealth of Obscure Knowledge. Again, similar, I did a lot of research as Fae. So keeping that demon knowledge and the arcane knowledge that I had, those are probably the 3 perks from my old life. Though if something else comes up, I'm happy to switch one of those out.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I don't have any other further questions at the moment for now Heathen. That's going to be weird to get used to.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Cool. For Amr, I'm not sure if you've had a chance to listen to any of Faye's stuff, but when Faye was Faye and not Heathen, her whole arc was that when she was a baby, she had a demon implanted in her brain by the Cult of the White Death. And her whole arc was like trying to deal with that demon. She ended up killing the leader of the White Death very, very, very dramatically after the cult killed her mom. Then they had the big epic fight takedown of the demon itself, where Faye's boyfriend was killed by the demon. So I think we've established there's going to be a time jump between like the end of that arc and when this starts, because Faye had to go like get her life back in order, because she became very like single-minded and not evil, but like relentless in her goal of stopping this demon from manifesting in the world, because if it manifested, it was going to kill everything.
Makes sense. Yeah, I'd listened to a bit of the character creation in the first episode way back when, so I had a vague idea of Faye as a character, but I didn't know how the arc went, so that's useful. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, this is definitely having a time jump since Faye was not in a great place. Not that she'll necessarily like be in a great place with a demon fighting organization, but like she's had her recovery time. I mean, like as much as you can get.
And I think that's it for Heathen.
I think a lot, because I have the soldier playbook, I think I should probably introduce after we talk, like all the details after we talk about the demon org.
Okay,
a lot of my
I'm cool
stuff
with that.
ties real directly into that. And I didn't want to make a lot of decisions on my own.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So I guess that jumps it over to me.
Yeah.
All right. So I will be playing a Harbinger.
Ooh.
Yeah, I finally decided on that. Should I give an overview of the Harbinger?
Yeah, why not?
Sure. So the Harbinger is essentially future Trunks from Dragon Ball Z, come from a timeline that has gotten destroyed or some really bad things have happened. The future kind of sucks. You're coming back to try to fix it, which actually leads to my first question. How is time travel handled in the Moon Harbor line of comics? Is it like this is the same timeline or is it an alternate timeline?
I think so far each of our Harbingers kind of made up their own ways.
Cool.
So
Yeah,
I think it's different per line.
Yeah,
Cool.
Feel free to figure out which one you want.
Awesome. I will decide that when that question pops up in a couple seconds.
Yeah, comic logic.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the Harbinger has come back in time to fix this timeline or prevent it from meeting an identical fate to their own timeline. And so the Harbinger I will be playing is a hero known as the Coincidence. They have a real name. I have not figured that out just yet, but it will be there in a few minutes. They use they, he pronouns. He is Egyptian, has a optimistic face, got a pretty like casual clothing. Depending on how long he's been here, it'll either be future casual or modern day casual or a mix of the two. And they've got a pretty dramatic costume.
Oh, excellent.
And their abilities are futuristic gadgets and implements. They have a bunch of stuff that they've gathered them from the future because back in their timeline, they were basically essentially a beacon when the things were going on in their world. But considering they have gadgets and technology from the future and they were doing it for a while, the stuff that was like everyday stuff that they had access to is a little bit more advanced when they bring it back to the past here.
I love that concept.
Yeah, and that's sort of where their optimism stems from. And I think we'll get into details in a bit, but part of their whole why they didn't perish in whatever event like ruined their future and took out most of the heroes is because they were just a low-level beacon who wasn't involved in whatever big event happened. And so they were kind of one of the few people left to send back to fix it.
Oh, I absolutely love that.
Yeah. So where should I go next? Should I do mechanics backstory?
Yeah, some of the backstory. I'm really excited to hear about this future.
Yeah, so first question is, how did I travel from the future to the present day? And the answer to that is essentially someone called Carl, who was a paladin in the very traditional fantasy sense, realized that the fight against demons in that timeline, because demons were the things that wrecked shit up in that world, was a losing battle, and so channeled some of his remaining energy to send anyone back. But every single person who tried to approach the portal got, taken out of the picture, except for the Coincidence, who was able to slip by. Because the Coincidence whole shtick when they were a beacon, and the reason they're called the Coincidence, is they don't have luck powers. They just have a habit of being in the right place at the right time. Hence the name the Coincidence. They just show up to the scene of a crime there. And so they showed up, and the portal was right there, and no one noticed. So they walked through, and that's how they ended up here.
Oh God, I love that.
Yeah. And so they can't return to the future because it was mostly a one-way trip. They have no idea if the Paladin is even still alive, how time works. I don't think they have a very concrete concept of it, of what even brought them here. But they do have a strong idea of what they're trying to prevent, or at least they thought they did. But their memories and knowledge of the future are scrambled because they weren't involved in the actual major incident. They know that there was a big demonic incursion, and they were there for the final battle, but they have no idea what led up to it because they weren't a major player in it. The most important part of your future that you want to avert, I think I think it has to do with either specifically Carl's fate or others like Carl who would have the ability to send them back to their time and put a strong stand against demons. So they want to make sure that they aren't the only one left here so that they can get back home. And why must you join this team specifically to achieve your mission's goal? I think it's pretty clear in that they don't really have an idea of what's going on with regards to dealing with demons at this time. And this was the sort of clearest fight demons here sign. So they just walked in and said, hi, I'm here to fight demons and I have cool future gadgets. And a probably unhealthy disregard for my own personal safety. Let's do this.
I hope that was literally what you wrote on your application because I love
it. See, here's the thing. I think Coincidence has a little bit of a conspiracy, like the gif of the person with the giant conspiracy board pointing at all the signs. That's how they deal with stuff. And so I think their paperwork is super overfilled in. But when they walked into whatever interview, that is what they said.
Hired immediately.
So yeah. Does anyone have any questions about the Coincidence at this point?
I'm headcanoning that your Carl, the Paladin, and our Carl, who was a newborn, are the same Carl.
Oh my god.
Just like centuries apart.
Uh,
Our Carl died in our timeline.
oh,
That was-
no.
But
Faye's
I'm-
boyfriend.
Faye's boyfriend.
Gotcha.
But I'm headcanoning that it's the same character.
Amazing. Well, I have no idea anything about Faye's boyfriend, but I do know that this Carl was a very not traditional paladin in appearances. Very much your chill, goes to 7-Eleven to drink a full slushy type of person.
Yeah, this Carl was a newborn, so he had a lot of different forms.
Amazing.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
How like far in the future is Coincidence's time?
Yeah, so I think that leads to the interesting question of how the time travel works. I think the interesting answer is it's really far in the future, but there's some sort of kickoff event that happens that happened in this timeline very recently. So like from start to end of the demonic incursion was, say, like however much is narratively appropriate, that has started here in this timeline 20 or 30 or 50 years too early.
Ooh, I love that.
Let's say a century. Let's say like Carl, the Coincidence is from a century in the future, but whatever cycle of the demonic incursion is happening here a century early.
I absolutely love that.
Same.
Yeah, and I think Coincidence is probably a little bit worried that might have to do with their presence being here disrupting the timeline a little.
Oh, definitely not.
No, not
way.
at all. That would never happen. No. Why would time travel make things worse?
That's not the story of every Harbinger. They don't ever make things worse.
They never.
Not once.
Not once has a Harbinger ever ruined things. I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to sip my tea very quietly in this corner.
Oh my god. Now I'm just thinking of my Harbinger who is continually ruining things constantly.
Oh yeah, the entire plot of Cosmic, I as the GM did not have to do any work for. I just waited for the Harbinger to fuck up and was like, cool, that's the story we're telling.
We'll see what happens.
Oh man. God, that's fun.
Do we know that the Coincidence doesn't have like quote unquote real powers?
Ooh.
Or is this like you've got enough future tech that like you can disguise it?
I think I'll leave that up to each of you. I don't think the Coincidence ever tries to hide it, but I don't think the Coincidence ever mentions it. Like, they have the feature tech and it is sufficient, so it's worked, you might have picked up that they don't have powers.
It's like
But then-
Supai would have picked it up, and if Heathen's anything like Faye used to be, she'll never notice.
But yeah.
I am loving coincidence already.
Same.
So why don't we build this demon fighting organization and then
Yeah.
we can reintroduce Supai?
Awesome.
Cool.
So I kind of came up with some questions to ask about this organization. So first of all, what is its goal? We've said that it's about fighting demons, but does it have like a more specific and pointed goal than just we fight demons?
I think that harkens back to the like, when did this all start? Because hypothetically, demons, quote unquote, first arrived in this world at the very beginning of the Fae demon fight. But also, like, maybe there was more demon activity that we didn't know about before that. So is this like an older organization or is this like a newer organization?
I am personally pretty neutral on the answer to that. I'm good with either. So if anyone has strong opinions,
Yeah, I feel kind of neutral about it too.
I think with regards to that, like age of the organization, I'm cool either way.
I kind of think it's more interesting if it's older,
Mm.
because, or at least like a couple decades older. For me personally, I think that with Fae and Heathen and Supai, yeah, it's gonna take a while to get used to.
yeah,
Heathen and Supai, they would have been approached immediately if this was a newer organization. But I feel like it makes more sense if it's like this has been around for a couple decades and like there are eyes on the two of them, but never they didn't reach out till later.
yeah. I think it might help distance this line a little bit from Faces as well.
Mm.
Agreed.
Yeah, especially if they're like older or like maybe more underground.
Yeah. Quick question, I guess. So what is the current status of demons in this world? Like demon lore in general, I guess. Are demons in general evil? Are they nuanced? Like
Historically, they've been evil, but I am very, very cool if we get into nuanced demon stuff. If we go like the angel route or like the Buffy season 6 and 7 route, where like demons have some complexity to them, I'm super interested in that storyline.
cool.
Yeah, that was definitely an angle that I was taking when I was doing some demonic research, which is really fun, by the way.
Yeah.
I spent several days like very deep and like looking up, what are different underworlds of like different groups? What are different demons?
So one thing I'd like to add to the purpose, I think it might be a bit interesting then along those lines, if perhaps the organization is more concerned with managing demons than defeating demons. Like perhaps especially some of the more like complacent higher ups might care more about preventing it from being a threat rather than like outright stopping them. Like, oh, that's a demon of anger. Maybe if we just give it another planet to destroy somewhere else, we'll be fine. Stuff like that.
I'm down with that. I like that.
So we're the Men in Black, but for demons instead of aliens.
Yeah, I guess basically.
I fucking love that.
I think that also might create some interesting tension with like having a harbinger just like, hey, these demons are going to have a full-on incursion and we need to stop them. And might being some like resistance or tension being like, oh, it's not that bad. We can manage it.
I'm into that.
Oh yeah, that's a really fun storyline to work with.
I'm already so hype.
Okay, so since its goal is more management, who's like in charge of this organization? Like of the organization itself? Do you guys have like a supervisor as a team? Or like are you guys good on your own?
I'm playing soldier, so I think it'd be interesting to have a supervisor. Like a very
sweet.
direct supervisor. Or like someone to report into directly at least.
I'd like that. That'd be fun.
I'm not good with authority, so we should definitely have a supervisor.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, not like somebody who's like constantly with you guys on like any missions you get sent on, but just like you report to this person.
Yeah. I was gonna add that I like the idea that the head of whatever this organization is one like a kid who has essentially like a super intelligence power. So they're like a 12 or 13-year-old who's managing this. And I think I like that maybe they actually want to do stuff with the organization, but they're way too hamstrung by bureaucracy at all times.
Ooh, I like that.
And also stop me if at any point I'm making this too convoluted, but
I'm down. I like that.
There's a really fun parallel there because canonically, the King of Hell looks like a 10-year-old white blonde boy. So I like that parallel.
amazing.
And I see, do you have a name for your direct supervisor at all?
Nothing in mind at the moment. Does anyone have anything?
I figure a name for the head is not as an immediate thing, but like a direct supervisor is somebody y'all will, of course, be interacting with from the get-go.
Yeah.
Not a name for the immediate supervisor, but I kind of just like that we only know the head of the organization as like the head. There's something really fun about that.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
Are we like agents? Are we soldiers? Do we have numbers? Do we have names? Code names? Like, how is that working?
Yeah. Similarly, are we all like on the same rank or position as Supay, or is Supay the only like official soldier and we're freelancers or whatever?
I was definitely picturing you guys all being like on the same team, like you guys have a unit, but like whatever you guys want to make with that is cool. Like whether or not as the soldiers, Supai is kind of like the one in charge.
Oh, that's a bad idea.
I love the idea that Supai might have, at the very least, like on paper, nominal authority over us if they choose to exercise it.
That'd be fun.
If you're cool with having that.
Yeah. How about Felix O'Sullivan? I had to pull out my Urban Shadows sheets because they have a giant list of names.
I like Felix.
Taking all of these names from Faces PCs, aren't we?
Fuck.
Yeah, that is.
What
What about Fiona O'Sullivan?
Perfect.
Ooh.
We did it, Reddit.
Okay, so then how did each of you come to join this organization, and how long have you guys all been there?
I think in the time after Faye left and Supai just continued their crime fighting throughout the city and kind of just stumbled into the organization. So I don't know how much of a time gap we're jumping with, but I think Supai's been there since like a month or two after Faye left.
I imagine that when Faye came back, well, when Alana came back into town, she looked up Supai, and Supai probably told her about this. Though I imagine it probably wasn't right away. It was probably after like a couple of weeks of them like hanging out casually. So I imagine I've probably only been in this organization for like a month or so.
Oh yeah, I absolutely would not have like let you know about it till I was sure that it wasn't going to be a bad time.
Till we knew that I was off by bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to avoid saying that. Yeah.
Okay, I like the idea that Coincidence has been in the organization for a month or two longer than Supai, but because they don't 100% respect any of the authority structures of the modern era, has put them like further behind, which is why Supai is like slightly higher ahead of them in the team or like team structure, because they have just clashed with authority a lot and how you're supposed to do things a lot.
I like that a lot. Supai kind of just does what they're told. They started as a protege, then went to be adjoined for a little while. So yeah.
Oh god, yeah, I love that. And what does everybody like want with working with this demon organization? Like, I know we've gone over that Coincidence is specifically working on their future timeline, but like, what about Supai and Heathen, especially since Phase Arc is now done?
I need purpose, and I've never figured out how to have purpose without someone telling me what to do. So it felt like a very natural structure for me.
I very much am trying to make sure that my actions didn't cause bigger complications that I'm not aware of, because like my actions kind of led to the first like quote unquote demonic incursion that happened in Moon Harbor. So I'm like very cognizant of taking care of that and remedying that situation. I don't know that I think this is a long-term thing. I think this is for me like this is a stepping stone to doing other things.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. And what's the name of this organization?
A question we've been dancing around since the start.
Yeah, I was waiting for that to be last because I figured once we have some ideas, then maybe it'd be easier to name it.
Okay, I just devoted a lot of energy to try to think of a stupid ass pun, and I can't, so I'm gonna actually devote energy to real stuff.
I'm trying to figure out some way to make demon a thing. I've got Department of Entities and Monstrosities, but I don't have an O or an N yet.
Oh no.
That's it.
Departments of Entities, Monstrosities, Otherworldly. Department of Entities, Monstrosities, and Otherworldly Nonsense.
Yes. That is my vote.
Yeah, I fucking love it. I'm just quiet because I'm writing that the fuck down.
I kind of like the idea that like the N actually stands for like necromancy, but like, or like some other like vaguely magical word, but everyone just calls it nonsense.
I love going off of that. Maybe that no one can remember what the N is, and everyone debates. It's like, oh, it's necromancy. Oh, it's this other thing that has to make sense, but no one agrees. It's actually lost to the records.
I love that.
Yeah, that part got like blotted out with ink or burned.
I'm trying to think of other words for N, but I got nothing.
The nonsense is perfect. So I guess now we need to jump back to reintroducing Supai.
Yeah. So let's see, going down. It gets me every time that the soldier has call sign. My call sign is Supai. Real name is Cruz. They, them pronouns. Out of costume, they wear like loose hoodies and jeans. They're Peruvian. Oh, does this organization have uniforms?
That's up to you all.
Well, Amr said that the coincidence has a flashy costume, so I don't want to put them into a box where they have to wear a uniform.
I have also said that they do not respect the authorities and structures of this organization. So I'm fine with there being no uniform, which they work around very liberally, using the word work around.
I'm very into that.
Hell yeah, no uniforms.
Yeah, I'm fine either way, uniform or none.
Heathen, do you have a preference?
I kind of think a uniform is fun, especially if the coincidence is going to not wear them. I think that there's some really fun, like, fuck the man nonsense in this. So,
Or maybe
All right.
it's like less of like a strict uniform and more of like, I guess think Target, where it's like, oh, you just have to wear a red shirt and like the khaki pants. And so it's like you kind of have to go with this style.
Yeah.
Then let's just, you want to just pick a color scheme
Ooh,
and go from there?
I'm into that.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
I'd like to toss out purple as one of them.
You know I'll never say no to purple.
Has there been a color associated with demons in this run before? In Fae, or well, I guess that might be a question as well for Fae. Has there, or even now, but like, did Fae have a demon color?
My demon was white and pink. Hell is purple. We've established that, like, the Hell realm has, like, purple skies.
But also like this is a new artist working on this arc, so it's making it
Yeah.
whatever we want it.
Oh, but yeah, I was thinking maybe we could do like the complementary. Is that the technical term? The like the opposite color of the demon color. So like if it's purple, but then also like whatever is opposite on the color wheel to that. I'm not an artist.
Purple and
I
yellow.
think.
Are we just making the non-binary flag shit? Hold on.
Yes.
I mean,
All right, so the colors are purple, yellow, and white? Or is it black?
White
Right.
and black. Yeah,
Yep.
both.
Perfect. I love that.
you know what? Spy will take it. Yeah, I think Spy like is in the most uniformy version of this. Like it's what you generally see like the background NPCs in the organization in. And it's just like the tight but body plate kind of thing they had before, just the new color scheme. They have a few new abilities. I took enhanced senses. Their eye has been replaced with a mechanical eye that has like various like scanning modes. And I also took signature weapon. They still use the like flame tentacles, but they also have a gun that can shoot bullets that burst into that like demon flame face. Where should I go next?
The whole like higher calling is pretty self-explanatory and doesn't have any like extra things to choose.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I can't think of much else since it's like a playbook change.
Yeah. It's odd because it's like mechanically a new character, but narratively a playbook change. It's wild.
Yeah, playbook changes are always weird, but fun.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other backstory questions that you want to answer that haven't been answered yet?
I think I've gone through all of them except the who outside of, I guess, Demon and the team connects you to the civilian world. And I think if it's cool with everyone, I think I want to answer that later. I want to get a better feel for how we all fit together to decide what kind of drama I need from that.
I'm cool with that.
I have one of those questions here. I've got who outside the team helped you get back in the game. So, but I'm going to hold off on that as well.
Sweet. And since this is a longer arc, do you guys want to do relationships at all? I was picturing you guys as having worked as a team for at least a little bit. I think who was there the shortest amount of time? Faye was there
Me.
like a month. Yeah. So like maybe at least like a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, relationships sound great.
Cool. I'm down with that. Do we want to use the ones in the playbooks or make up our own?
Either or, I guess whatever works, since this is I guess, more unusual kind of arc.
No.
I really like my playbook questions, so I'm probably going to use those because they're really fun. But and I think anyone else is welcome to do whatever they want with that.
I like both of the ones on mine. I think I'm going to use this. But yeah, same.
I like one of mine. I'm not 100% sure of the other one, considering how established the other two characters are. So I'll work with one-on-one probably.
Cool.
Okay.
I can start. I think the one that makes most sense for this is the coincidence isn't always thrilled with the way Demon handles things. I've come to value their critiques, even if I don't agree with them. Does that feel right?
Yeah, that seems fair.
And sadly, that leaves Heathen is crucial to the long-term success of Demon. I must protect them. Which is a story I've never played with Sapai before.
Oh, totally not.
Perfect. Do you want to go, Heathen? Floor is yours.
Sure. So my two questions are: Blank was a big fan of your previous exploits, which I think by definition cannot be Supai, because Supai was very, very critical of my previous exploits.
Okay.
So I think the coincidence was a big fan of my previous
Yeah.
exploits. Whether that is like you knew about me from the future, or like even
Mhm.
in the past for long enough that like you'd be familiar with what was going on with the rest of the world.
Yeah, that works.
And my other one is you've told Blank your true feelings about your powerlessness. So Supai, that makes sense. We are like best friends sometimes.
All right. So I think I'll start with the one that I'm using from my playbook, which is you've always idolized Supai, but it's awkward to admit. It's too awkward to admit to them now that you've met them in real life. Keep it cool. Keep it cool. And I think the way I'm going with that is I have forgotten every detail I've known about Supai except their name and a vague remembrance that I found them super cool in the history books. And so it's awkward on the level of A, I've met them in person. B, I remember nothing about why I idolized them. And C, they're kind of a little bit of stick in the mud in terms of the rules. It feels like it's the impression I'm getting, or at least in terms of following Demon.
Yeah, probably.
So it's like, I
I
But I
adore
remember
that
the vehicle.
relationship.
And I think for the other one, to feed off the one that Heathen gave me, I think that since I've been here, I've been doing research into all the Demon stuff in this timeline, so I've learned about past exploits of Fae. Quick question: would I know that you are Fae, Heathen?
Yeah, I don't really do. I mean, I do the secret identity thing
Cool.
in that like I look different, but not too bad.
Cool. So I think the relationship there is going to be something along the lines of you're one of the few people who I trust to take this seriously, and I've probably told you all that I remember about the future more than I've told anyone else, if you're cool with that. Which isn't a lot. I've just told you the details that I know.
Totally works for me.
Oh, I
In my-
love that.
Yeah, because in my mind, you would be the person who would take a Demon incursion seriously once Demon did not as much as I would hope.
Based on the history, you'd be correct.
Yeah, and then, I mean, like, I would say we would go to influence, but Heathen and Sapai are established and have done their
Yeah.
influences. And oh wait, no, I was thinking the Nomad. God, I had just been looking at the Nomad. So yeah, do you want to give out influence at all with coincidence?
Yeah, I mean, coincidence, both having a beacon personality and the Harbinger playbook, makes sense to give influence to everyone since everyone could be a part of Cage of the Future, and I'm just kind of a happy-go-lucky person.
I give every teammate influence over me because my like lack of powers now.
Cool.
I give 2 of my teammates influence, so...
Woo, influence
Whoa.
triangle.
Okay, awesome.
Also, I do have a name for coincidence, finally. So I think back in his timeline, he went by Dylan. And ever since he's come here, he's been going by Zira. I don't think Dylan is a dead name or anything like that. I think it's just a name. I think he doesn't know how time travel works and assumed that if he used the same name, he would fuck up the time stream. So he's been using a different name. So if no one here would know him by Dylan. Only people who could see through timelines or were from his original timeline would know him as Dylan. Which I'm just putting out there for no reason whatsoever. But everyone would know him as Zira.
I love that.
Zira.
Okay, that's an I. Cool.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, that's not any piece of lore that will be relevant at all, I'm sure.
Cool.
Moon Harbor Heroes is produced by Anthony Sheets, T.B. Huth, and Elliot Peterson, and edited by Anthony Sheets and Sean Geddes. Anthony can be found on Twitter at IcyNewYear or at icynewyear.com. T is a theater artist and educator in the DC area. She can be found at thuthplaywright on Twitter or tphuth94 on Instagram. Elliot can be found at Elliotylen, ELLIOTYLEN on Twitter. Sean can be found at The Crumpit, THECRUMPIT on Twitter. Moon Harbor Heroes is played using Masks: A New Generation, written by Brendan Conway and produced by Magpie Games. Our logo was designed by Beautiful Beasties. She can be found on Instagram at beastly.doodles or on Patreon at patreon.com/beautifulbeasties. The music in this issue is Halls of the Undead by Kevin MacLeod. A link to his website and the license will be in the show notes. This issue is GM'd by Elliot Peterson. The Coincidence was played by Amr Amaraz. Amr is what happens if puns gain sentience and developed a love of math, writing, and superheroes. They lend their voice to a variety of projects, both as a writer and a performer, as well as design games of their own. You can follow their exploits on their Twitter account at Amaraz. That's AMMOURAZZ. Supai is played by Anthony Sheets. Heathen is played by T. Huth. Heathen was played using the Enduring playbook. The Enduring was written by John of Listen to These Nerds. They can be found at LTTNcast on Twitter. If you want to get a hold of us, email us at moonharborheroes@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at moonharborcast. If you enjoyed this issue, please leave us a review on your podcatcher of choice or tell a friend. 5-star reviews and word of mouth are really the best way for us to keep bringing these stories to more people. If you'd like to support us financially, check us out at patreon.com/moonharborheroes. Supporting us there will give you access to bonus issues each month. And thank you for helping us save the world. We'll see you next issue.